Welcome to Gamescom. We've managed to steal away some time from Adam Gershowitz, who is, of course, with Tryon Worlds, and we're just going to discuss Rift and all of the wonderful Storm Legion-y goodness, and also have a look at Dimensions.
Dimensions. One of the most exciting things that we've got in the upcoming expansion. So what do you want to know about Dimensions? I'm here. You can ask me any question you want.
You were showing off earlier the fact that the amount of customization in it is crazy. Is there a limit, first of all, to how many pieces of stuff you can have in a dimension?
So it's really hard to say that right now because, like I said earlier when we were showing the demo, we've just gotten this technology working. It's been in for a couple of weeks, and in fact, we haven't hit our limit yet.
So it's a case of you're trying to break it and then you'll find out.
We're going to try to break it first, and then we're going to step back from there. Obviously, there will be limits to how many items you can place in a dimension initially. We're going to allow people to upgrade dimensions. Yeah. Some dimensions can hold more items, others can't. It all depends. It depends on which dimension you get, how much you've upgraded a given dimension. Really, the upper bound right now is not something that we have figured out. Because we're just going to find out at what point, how many dimensions can we have running, how many items can be in it, how many thousands of people can be in it. We're going to find what the sweet spot is there, and then we're going to work back from there. So we rather not go, hey, arbitrarily you can put 10 things because we say. If you can put 1,000 things, we want to let people put 1,000 things in their dimension.
Okay. So what about being gold sync? Are you going to make it so that it's a case of they are easy to get into, but then if you want a lot, it's going to cost, or is it a case of you want it?
So that's another tough question because, once again, that's kind of one of those things you finesse as you go through the alpha and the beta process. There will be things about dimensions that will require gold. Some dimensions will cost gold to purchase. Upgrading some dimensions will cost gold to purchase. Some items will cost gold to purchase. Yeah. But that's only kind of a small subset of the things that you can get. So those are the easy to access items, right? The things that, I can buy 100 wooden planks because they're wooden planks and they're not super exciting. I can't necessarily buy, Malforge's Lair or something like that. Those are going to be things you're going to need to get by playing the game content. Yeah,
that was something that I asked earlier while you were doing the preview thing.
Yep.
Querying for the raiders, are there going to be wonderful things that they can get? And you hinted that maybe.
Yeah, so like I said, we're still playing with all the objects that we can do, right? So the most important thing is right now our designers are taking literally every object in the world, putting it into a dimension, rotating it upside down, turning it sideways, seeing if it's an interesting building block, all of those fun things. So they're picking the best of the best things, and those are what we're going to put in the game initially, right? Yeah. So the things that we're showing today are just some very simple objects. The initial stuff they went through, the obvious chairs and things like that. But there's nothing keeping us from going in and picking some of the really cool things from Hammerknell, for example. Yeah. Some of the cool props, some of the cool rooms, and giving players access to those things. And since we can take anything in the world, because a dimension isn't a housing zone, it's a slice of Talara, it opens up the option for us to do whatever we want with a dimension. Like I said before, it's not something we've put in yet, but if we wanted to go, hey, you've defeated Malforge, you've gotten the giant I've completed all of Infernal Dawn achievement, hey, we've unlocked Malforge's Lair as a dimension for you. That is an option for us. So while we could do things like, hey, here's a dragon head that you can mount on a wall, we want to do things that are a little bit more creative and give people things that they don't normally get in other games.
Yeah. So, I mean, even with the simple things you're putting in there, I mean, the tree house that is on the screen next to us, I'm sure the camera will swing around and show it in a minute. You said simple objects, but you can still do wonderful things with them.
Yeah, so for example, this object, this treehouse that Chris is running around on was something we threw together in about an hour or so. The UI right now is still very rough. We're working on the manipulation commands, but that was mostly built from things like, we found this really nice silverwood tree, we put it in our zone, we then constructed out of it using wooden planks and wooden boxes and poles and posts and a couple of wall pieces, this neat little tree fort. And my tree fort is not nearly as pretty as Alice's tree fort, which is the one you saw earlier, because she made a completely different looking one with like hanging lamps and all sorts of neat objects there. But you can quickly put together these types of things very, very fast. And we're really trying to figure out exactly what are the building blocks people want. So, here you see a bunch of wood stuff. We're working on things like stone tiles, glass tiles, different, precious metals and stuff like that to give people lots of different options to kind of build exactly what they want.
I love the fact that you can put the lights in and it does give dynamic lighting. It does change. So you can have, a darker dimension if you want it, or you can have
a
wonderfully light dimension.
Yeah, so light sources. If you get a fire or a torch, like Chris was putting down earlier, it will change the lighting in the zone. So, say for example, he picks up that torch that's over by the weapon rack there. You'll see he'll grab that. He'll take it away, and the light gets a little bit dimmer because the light source actually goes away. You make it bigger and smaller, and the light source is larger and smaller. So, while these are some very simple torches and things, you can imagine what happens when you have glowing blue orbs of magical energy and power generators and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah. So it looks like you're trying to create it so it's not a static thing. It does actually have some life in it. So what about things like NPCs or pets running around or anything like that for the future?
So really, things like NPCs, you're not going to have encounters in Dimensions, right?
No,
so,
of course.
One of the things that we're not doing initially is giving people things where they can like path a monster around and stuff like that. Because when you start putting combat into these things, they get very expensive very fast.
I was more thinking butler.
Yeah, you can probably have a butler. It's something we've talked about. For example, like I said before, I don't have an example of it here, but one of our designers put together a bartender, right?
Nice.
They put down a bar, and when they put down the bar, it spawns the bartender behind the bar, and he puts mugs of beer out, and you can grab a mug
That's
of
a
mead.
big book.
That is a really big book.
See,
it's the house of books.
One of the other things was pets. I mean, it would be, for pet collects and stuff, it would be awesome to come into their dimension and see all of their pets running around and just kind of...
So, like I said before, those are things that are on our list to do. Yeah, possible things to do once we get kind of the core system out of the way. And like I said, at Gamescom today, we're really showing the core system. Now, Chris, why don't you grab the Cloud Seeker object real quick so we can show an example of how you can change the world a little bit more dramatically. So he's going to drop this little Cloud Seeker here, and he's going to put it down.
Change the sky.
Yeah, it changes the sky, and it starts raining in the zone.
That's
and
amazing.
This is kind of one of the examples like the Butler thing that you were talking about, where our designers can script different actions onto each of the objects that you put into the game, and it can affect your dimension in a different way. Okay. So just like dropping this object and changing the weather and the skybox and the event that's running in the zone, we can do things with NPCs and stuff like that as well.
Okay. So for those that are watching, I mean, your beta hasn't started yet. Sign-ups haven't even started yet. But where can they go to find out more information about Storm Legion and what's coming?
Obviously, you can go to riftgame.com or our Storm Legion site. We are actively in alpha right now. We're going to probably be going into our beta phases really, really soon. So keep an eye out for the beta signups.
Yep.
Obviously, if you're a player of the current game, you're going to get first dibs.
Yep.
When Storm Legion is actually going to, get out there and people can play it.
Yep.
And more importantly, if you're really, really you're a huge Rift fan, I definitely say you should check out the site, see all the great information we have there, and maybe take advantage of some of the special promos we've been running.
Yep.
So, for example, right now, if you get a 1-year subscription to Rift, you'll get Storm Legion completely for free.
And a mount.
And a mount. And it's not the Storm Legion mount. So there's this completely separate set of CE stuff that we'll be announcing later with lots of really cool stuff in it. But that mount, the landslide mount, is is a mount we made specifically for our subscribers.
Okay. Well, excellent. Thank you very much.
Yep. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.